How was it for you to move around in the dark? How did you find your way in the dark?
The first few weeks I actually didn't wear flip-flops. I just kind of used my feet to sort of feel the different, the changes in the flooring. And so that in combination with my hearing and smell, I was able to get down to the common area where we did most of the training. Or in fact, where we did all of the training, and getting around to get the food. So I didn't have much trouble. I was always surprised that even though there were 60 people running around in the dark, that we weren't running into each other. I spent more time running into chairs. And so each day, I think I would just begin to remember better ways of getting around. So the most effective thing for me was really my footing. I would use my feet to feel where the edge of the mats were, and then I would feel for smooth tile, and then I knew I would have a clear path. And then I took a set of my flip-flops, and I put my flip-flops halfway under the mat, so whenever I was walking along them, I could always tell where my space was. The last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks I didn't. I just sort of went off the smell of the balloons. You know, it's funny because you begin to just use your other senses, you know. And then what began to happen in the second week is I started to feel those huge columns that you have to walk around. You could feel how dense the energy was. You would go along and be like, whoa, that doesn't feel like open space. And then I would reach out, and every time, oh, there's the column. So then I would slide around. And, you know, those were my little things: sight, smell, kinesthetic.
What about perceiving other people? Did you have the feeling that it was possible to...
Yeah, certainly. I use more of tone. And the tone really sort of began to give me a sense of even what the person looked like, or what their personality was like, because they're conveying so much in the vibration. So there are vibrations, of course, that resonate with you more, and there are vibrations, of course, that don't as much. So it was really most of the tones that we heard were coming from the senior instructors and sort of maybe the one or two friends that we made before we went into the dark. So I didn't have a chance to speak about the general populace that was in there. But you could feel the personality of the countries, because there were a lot of people from different countries in there. You could almost feel the personality of the countries from their accent, using the English. And I could be like, okay, that person's from Germany. And there would just be this sort of like way that they would interact with the senior instructors that seemed to be very similar.
Did you have any outer body experience while you were in the dark?
Yes. After day 2, I began traveling to different places. So, inside, up in the galaxy, in the stars, in a cloud, in a meteor belt, you know, with a bunch of meteors flying all around, and the future, off to the past. I mean, many, you know, my out-of-body experience lasted for about 23 days. So it was constant, except for when I went to sleep. When I went to sleep, I went into a dream state. But when I was awake, I was, you know, physically present, you know, but also in this other, you know, realm or universe, or however you want to talk about it. What was interesting, though, is that my vision was always in the other place, even though my body and my consciousness was here in the physical being. And whenever I would be walking, either to pick up breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a snack, or go down to the common area, when the world shifted in my vision, guess what would happen? It would almost knock me off balance. My physical equilibrium here in this plane would almost get knocked over. So suddenly I would be really, really off balance. I'd be walking along going, whoa! And it was because this world, if it tilted this way, but I was walking in my physical being, it was like my body got shifted, my physical energy got shifted. And so that was kind of, I had to be really careful. There were a couple times where I, knocked my head into a wall because I was just like, I was following this with my vision where I was in the other world and then losing contact with where my feet were. So I had to really start to pay attention to both worlds when I was moving. When I wasn't moving, I could just stay here. I could stay present in what was happening in my out-of-body experience. So that was a little, that could be overwhelming a little bit, actually. So then I would just laugh and chuckle to myself, like, hey, you better pay attention. Don't want to fall down the steps.
How did you experience the heightened DMT production in the brain?
Mine came on extremely quickly. Like, I knew that there was, in the information that you read, they talk about, day 12, day 13. By day 3, I was already, I had already linked in. Now, much of that probably has to do with, in my house is a dark room. And so, I have the ability to turn it into a dark room. And so I sleep 9-10 hours at night, every night for the last year and a half in complete darkness. So my body's ability to produce melatonin at a faster rate is probably what got me linked in to the experience of the DMT really quickly. I felt like, not necessarily like a body high. I didn't necessarily feel that as much as I did sort of like perception and colors and being able to interact with spiritual beings in these other realms, these orbs and things that I could see, and even having the ability to take that energy that I could see in this other realm and pull it into my physical body and be able to interact was certainly changes your perception, because I had never had a massive amount of DMT. I hadn't done ayahuasca or played with the plant medicine. So this was an endogenous experience, which I'm sure is much different than the exogenous experience. But for me, it felt very safe and comfortable. I didn't at all feel like, oh, this is freaking me out, or I feel weird, or I felt like just like I was watching kind of like a movie. And yet, if I wanted to interact and be a participant in it, I could. And the majority of the time, I just kind of like kicked back and just kind of watched what was occurring. And it wasn't anything really too psychedelic or freaky. It was, it seemed, like just a view of different planes of existence that I don't get to see on a normal basis. So nothing attacked me, nothing harmful came, nothing fearful, or it was for me it was great. It was wonderful. Lucid dreamings that I had, and in each one, I became suddenly aware that I was in a dream, and so I was consciously, my conscious mind was actually inside the dream world, and so I was able to interact and ask questions to this young lady that was guiding me around, and teaching me things. And so that was kind of wild, because when I woke up from that, I was like, whoa. I was awake inside my dream, and I could remember the entire thing, where usually when I'm in a normal dream, in a dream state, when I wake up, it's almost as if the dream was happening to me, and I was in it, but I wasn't able to control what I was doing. I wasn't able to interact with what was happening, or change or shift things. So that was nice tool or skill to be able to learn and use, and made me aware of some shifts or some attention that I need to put on some areas in my life. The dark room, for me, I had been thinking about it for a very long time, so I had already begun to project what I thought might happen from the research that I had read that was available on the website. And then at the same time, I was in this other area where not to really have an expectation, just sort of like, let what's going to happen is really going to happen. And then just kind of like go with the flow of things. And I thought that the Darkroom, it was extremely organized, but the thing that I really enjoyed the most were Master Chia's teachings. I got a lot out of finding confirmation from his teachings about the things that I've already learned in my own life, and just being around, other beings that have commonality, that are, attempting to stretch their existence to kind of go in deeper into themselves, to find out who they are and what they really want to be and what their life purpose is in relationship to them, and what that life purpose means in relationship if they want to take that journey to the collective consciousness. And I just learned a lot of valuable tools in terms of breathing, in terms of a different way of exercising, a very gentle kind of way of stimulating the chi, being able to direct energy, being able to pull energy and connect to different planets and star systems. And in the dark, because you don't have the distraction of everyday life, I think it's much easier to sink in and tap into those parts of yourself. So I suggest for anyone who is thinking about it potentially, to take a step in that direction, take some action, and make it happen. I mean, it's obviously well thought out. The senior instructors have been doing the work for years, so they're very good at what they do, and they're a complement to the teachings that are happening here. And the days go by actually very quickly, and it's very structured. So it's just it's good. It's really good. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. I couldn't, a lot of times the people equate, the amount of money that they spent, which equates to energy that they put out to earn the money, to the experience that they had. And I think that for the dollar, that's probably one of the most profound experiences you could have on the planet. You're not going to get that anywhere else. If you got here and you got to have it, you are pretty lucky to be able to even know to come here. And it's warm. It's fun. I loved it. Yeah, I don't have any complaints. I didn't find anything about the entire experience that I would really change. Actually, that's not true. There's one thing that I would change, and I would make a suggestion for anyone who's coming up here, to be open to the teachings that Master Chia has, and if you have your own ideas that sort of challenge what he's teaching challenges your belief system, that to kind of like work on that yourself, and not maybe disrupt the class with your own fears, and just keep things in the flow. And for the most part, the majority of the people here came here